Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastuma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Here now we are studying the commentary of Shankaracharya on the second sutra of the Brahma Sutras, Janmadhyasya Yataha. And here Shankaracharya is talking about the logic of Brahma Sutras, how the Upanishadic statements are quite logical. And he is answering this objection, whether they are logical or not. So he was saying that a person can perform, not perform, or perform in a different manner, both worldly actions and also actions which are prescribed in the Vedas. That is, Vedic rituals which are prescribed in the Vedas. Kartum akartum anyatha va kartum cha shakyam laukikam vaidikam cha karma. So both laukikam or worldly and also vaidikam, Vedic karmas, Vedic actions, they can be done. Either one has the option of doing them, or one has the option of not doing them, or one has the option of doing it in a different way. For example, in the worldly context, yatha ashvena gacchati padbhyam anyatha va nava gacchati iti. A person may go to a place either on foot or on horseback or by some other manner, or may choose not to go at all. So, tatha, similarly, this is in the case of a worldly context, in a normal context. Also in the case of alaukika context. Alaukika means that which is not worldly. That means that which has been prescribed by the Vedas, the Shrutis. Shruti, Vedas have prescribed that. So in that, tatha, similarly, atiratre shodashinam grihnati. So atiratre shodashinam grihnati. In the Maitrayani Samhita, it is told that Maitrayani Samhita. Maitrayani Samhita, it is told that in Atiratra, there is a sacrifice called Atiratra. Now in that Atiratra sacrifice, there is the Soma. So Soma has to be apportioned, Soma juice. Okay. So people have this idea that Soma juice means it is like liquor, etc., etc. It might have some intoxicating properties, but it is not so much like people make it. Okay. It's a medicinal potion. So it is not like, then some people say, oh, Swamiji, liquor also many people call medicine, like that. No, it is not like that. Soma juice is really medicine, and people have, it is a very bad thing to have equated it on a par with liquor, Soma rasa, etc. In some, many Indian languages, they call liquor Soma rasa, like that. Sometimes mostly out of fun, etc. That is not correct, because Somarasa is not that. Now, in certain sacrifices which are prescribed by the Vedas, one has to offer this Somarasa. Now, the Somarasa means Soma juice, means juice which has been extracted from the Soma plant. It's a creeper. So, creeper, lata. So, from Soma lata, one has to extract this juice and one has to offer it to the deity. Now, in Atiratra, there is a sacrifice called Atiratra. In Atiratra sacrifice, usually the prescription is, the injunction is that it has to be offered in 16 parts. Shodasha Kala means actually Shodasha, 16 parts. In many places in spiritual texts or scriptural texts, in many places, Shodasha means complete. Complete. That idea is there. So in many places it is like that. Probably that is why earlier the 1 rupee had 16 annas, right? 1 rupee had 16 annas, no? Earlier. How many annas did 1 rupee have? 16 annas or 64 annas. Shruvaji, how many annas did 1 rupee have? 64 or 16?
Swamiji, the mic is not enabled. Shall I enable it?
No, how many annas did nobody older person, nobody is there old. Anna time person, nobody is there here. Usually in these classes, people who are of Anna era only are there. So I don't know whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. Can anybody tell?
Swamiji, I just enabled the mic. It was not enabled for the participants.
I think it is 16.
60.
61, 16 annas.
16 annas, yes.
16.
So 16 annas also, that was made based on some kind of calculation like that. So 16 parts. So 16 parts represented the whole. So one whole was divided into, means one full was divided into 16 parts. So that is what Shodasha Kala. So that is why in various places, a whole thing, one unit is divided into 16 units. So this Atiratra sacrifice also, the idea is that you have to apportion the Soma juice into 16 cups. And generally the 16th cup is not offered, or it is not taken into account. It is not taken into account. It is not. So every cup is called Graha, and the 16th Graha in the Atiratra sacrifice usually is not used. It is not used. It is just kept like that. It is not used. But there are certain places in the Vedas where the 16th cup is also used. So Atiratre Shodashinam Grihnati, Na Atiratre Shodashinam Grihnati. Both are from Vedas. Both statements are from Vedas. So that means it depends. When such a thing is told in the Vedas, then it depends, that it means that there is a choice about using the 16th cup. You may either use it or you may not use it. Similarly, about Agnihotra sacrifice, it is told Udite Juhoti. One has to perform the sacrifice after sunrise. Anudite Juhoti also is told. That means one has to perform the sacrifice before sunrise. So, iti, in this manner, vidhi pratishedaha cha atra arthavantaha syu, those injunctions, vidhi or commands, and pratishedaha cha, and also prohibitions are arthavantaha. They are full of meaning. They are full of purpose. Syu, because the question will arise, if the Vedas are at one point saying that you do this, another point it is saying don't do this. That means one can do, just like in the other context, one can do or not do whatever one can do. Why should at all one follow the Vedas? Then the question will come. Because then Vedas become without any purpose. It is purposeless. So that is what is clarified here. No. The very fact that there is Vikalpa Utsarga Apavadaha. That means Vikalpa. There are alternatives are given. There are various options are given. Utsarga. There is a particular rule is there. Apavadaha. There are exceptions are also there. So Vikalpa Utsarga Apavadaha cha. That means it is not that one can do as one pleases when it comes to Vedic rituals or Vedic sacrifices. One cannot do as one pleases. One has to strictly follow what has been injunction or what has been told, prescribed by the Vedas. So the Vedas, when they give two options like that, that means an alternative has been prescribed with the Vedas. That is what we have to understand. An alternative has been prescribed by the Vedas when there is a choice like that. And if there is no choice, then there is a rule you have to follow, or there is a prohibition. One should not do this, or there are some exceptions also. So there might be a prohibition or there an injunction that one has to do like this or one has to not do like this, but there will be an apavada. Apavada means an exception also, that this is an exception where you cannot do. So here, all this depends on Purusha Tantra. This is all Purusha Tantra. Purusha Tantra means it depends on the person. It depends on the person, whether you do it, even in the case of worldly actions, and also in the case of Vedic rituals or Vedic sacrifices or actions prescribed by the Vedas or prohibited by the Vedas or exempted by the Vedas. So suppose an action is prohibited by the Vedas. What if a person actually does that action? Vedas are prohibiting that person, anyone, from doing those actions. Okay. Now, a person may read the Vedas, understand it, and yet do those actions, because it is dependent ultimately on a person whether that action will be performed, not performed, or in what manner it will be performed. Though the Vedas are clearly giving a rule or a prohibition, they are either instructing you to do something or not do something, or they are giving an exception that in such a case, in such a scenario, you may take exception and you may not follow this rule. You might not follow this rule. So they are giving an exception, they are giving an injunction, they are giving a prohibition. Whatever Vedas are telling, even then it is up to the person whether that person will actually follow it. So it is Purusha Tantra. So that is where it is on a par with worldly action. Worldly action, it is on a par not because one can do like that, means one has the liberty to do like that. Means one can, means the Vedas give you that liberty. No, Vedas don't give you the liberty, but one takes the liberty, that's all. When one attends the class in a school or in a college, the thing expected of the student is that the student will attentively listen to the class. So earlier it was, even now some places, very rarely, they use the word audit. So I audit the class. That means I listen to the class. This is usage. So the idea was that you have to audit the class. Audit means now I think we think that audit means only checking the account books. Even that usage also came because of that. Earlier people used to go where accounts were maintained and used to listen to the statement of accounts being explained. So they used to audit, means they used to listen. Auditory listening. So like that audit. So you have to audit the class. So the expectation is that you will listen to the class. Now a student goes to the class, sits there, physically present, mentally not absent, present somewhere else. So that person is somewhere else present. Now this is what is not expected of the student. And that is why there is a requirement that so much as attendance should be there. So there is the expectation by the educational institution or whoever is providing the classes that you will attend the class. But at the end, eventually, essentially, it depends on the student whether she or he will attend the class. So it is Purusha Tantra. It is dependent on the person. Similarly, so there is no exception from, there is no exemption from the educational institution or the authorities who are giving the classes. But one will take exemption. What can you do? You can do nothing. So that is how they are on a par. Vedas tell these things as compulsory, but one may take liberties and not do that. So here, this is the problem. Whereas in the case of Brahman, even whether you like to believe it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you deny it, whatever you do, the fact remains that Brahman exists. So you might not believe it. You say, no, I don't believe all these things. I don't believe these things. Don't believe. Very good. Even if you don't believe it, the fact remains that Brahman exists because it is Swata Siddha. It is self-evident. It does not need the evidence or the ratification of anybody else. And it is already present. It does not, it is a Nitya Siddha Vastu. So it is always there, always evident. So it does not need any action of any person to be produced. It is not something which is produced, and therefore it is not something which can be destroyed also. So that is Vastu Tantra, that which depends that which depends on the existence of a particular entity. That means that which depends on what's already existing. That is called Vastu Tantra. So Brahman, the existence of Brahman is Vastu Tantra. It does not depend on anybody. It depends on itself. So that is what now Shankaracharya is clarifying. That earlier it was Purusha Tantra. In the case of any action, it is completely dependent on a person. But now here he says, Natu vastu evam naivam asti nasti iti va vikalpyate. Natu vastu, tu, but not. Tu means but. Na means not. But not in the case of vastu, an entity. So in the case of an action, it is kartum, akartum, anyata va kartum shakyam. One can either do it, or one can not do it, or one can do it in a different manner. That's possible in the case of an action. But in the case of an entity, that is not so. That's not so. Why? Na evam. One cannot say that it is not like this. In the case of an entity which is already existing, one cannot say, no, it is not like this. Or one cannot say, asti nasti iti va vikalpyate. So there is no option or alternative. There is no vikalpa. Vikalpa means alternative. There is no alternative like this is not like this, or asti, or it is like this, or nasti, that it is not there. So in front of you, there is a, say, basketball is there. Now you cannot look at the basketball and say, no, it is football. You can say, if you keep on saying like that, people will take you to some other place. But if you want to be in sane society, then you have to not say that. Because it is very evident that it is basketball which is in front of you. Or you may say that because you're ignorant, you don't know the difference between football and basketball. That is also possible. But then other people will educate you about that. So Vastu, you cannot say that it is not existing. You cannot say it is existing because there is no need to say that. It is self-evident. And you cannot say that it is not in this manner. Why? Because it is there. In whatever manner it is there, it is there. So about in certain Indian languages, there is one usage. That is, people who are sycophants, means they are like, in Hindi they say, chamcha. They will, whatever their boss is telling, leader is saying, they will say, yes, 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 what you are telling is correct. So suppose somebody is saying, hey, you see, white crow is flying. Yes, yes, sir, white crow is flying. It is flying upside down, sir, and like that. So means that is so much of sycophancy. It is whatever the leader will say, this person will simply accept. Why? Because the person is telling lies, is a hypocrite, wants to just grab the attention of the leader or boss. But in general, one cannot say like that. Whatever is in front of you, vastu, cannot be understood in a manner other than what it is. Provided all your sensory organs, everything is working fine, then you will not see that other than what it is. So you cannot say na evam, it is not like this, or you cannot say it is not there, or you cannot say it is there also. So these are alternatives. Kartum, akartum, anyatha va kartum. To do, not to do, or to do in a different manner is not available in the case of an entity. Vikalpanastu Purusha Buddhi Apekshaha. Why Vikalpanaha? Alternatives are Apekshaha dependent on Purusha Buddhi, on the intellect of a person. So alternatives are dependent on the intellect of a person. See, in New York, there is one person from Tamil Nadu, he went to New York. Okay, in New York somewhere, if you Google, you will get everything, you will get in Google, but I'm just sharing it with you. So in New York, somewhere in the, I think very busy place, somewhere at Fifth Avenue, something like that, where there are so many advertisement agencies and all. This fellow in one small lane, he has, most of you might already know about this person. He has put one small kiosk kind of thing, and he sells dosas. Okay. And when he started, there were not much competition. Now probably many other people are also there, but only dosas. So he has come up with so many combinations of those dosas. So some dosa, it's like cone, you can just keep, and like, what is that? Wrap, you can have, like roll, you can have. He has got more than 150 varieties of dosas. Dosa, this dosa, that. In London, there is a, no, not in London. In Edinburgh, there is a famous restaurant. And that restaurant, I forget the name. It is a typical Tamil name. And so the Tamilian family runs that restaurant. And there they have lamb dosa. Lamb dosa. So instead of masala dosa, lamb dosa. They have made all these ingenious ideas. One of my friends was saying, either you are a genius or you are an ingenious. Means either one has to become a genius, or if we cannot, then jugad, become ingenious. So Purusha Buddhi Apeksha, this person going there, and there's a huge line in front of his cart. There's a huge line. It's not even a proper shop. It's a cart, and the huge line is there. And the New York dosas, he is calling it New York, NY dosas. So this dosa, why? Vikalpa Purusha Buddhi Apeksha. All these alternatives depend on the Purusha Buddhi. Only Purusha should have Buddhi, that's all. If a person has Buddhi, you can come up with any number of alternatives of anything. That is Purusha Buddhi Apeksha. Natu Vastu Yathatmya Jnanam Purusha Buddhi Apeksham. But Vastu Yathatmya Jnanam, the Jnanam, the knowledge of Vastu Yathatmya, that means the affairs or the knowledge of a real nature of a Vastu, of an existing entity, is not Purusha Buddhi Apeksham. It is not dependent on the intellect of a person. It cannot depend on the intellect of a person. So no matter whatever intellect you have, if you see somebody whom you have, means who has given money to you and has come to ask it back, means you have been given loan, and then that person is coming and asking for repayment. Whatever buddhi you have, you cannot deny the fact that you are in trouble now. If you don't have money, that is. Then whatever buddhi, whatever intellect you have to pay now that person, because you have taken loan from that person, and that person is coming and asking you money. So there Purusha Buddhi Apeksha is useless, because that is the real nature of things now. So if you see somebody is throwing a stone at you, you cannot say that, oh, Purusha Buddhi Apeksha, that this stone is not a stone. It is only a flower which is coming to me. All that poetry you cannot do there. You have to just move from the path of the stone. Otherwise you'll get hit. So simple. So Yathatmya Jnanam. Yathatmya Jnanam. The knowledge of the real nature of an entity is not Purusha Buddhi Apeksha. It is not at all dependent on the intellect of a person. So no matter whatever intellect, so that's why most of the times intellect is useless. In practical life, most of the times intellect is useless. Like in the story of Sri Ramakrishna, where a person was traveling by boat, and that person was a great scholar, wanted also to flaunt one's scholarship, like most scholars are. They will first of all talk in a manner that you will ask, oh sir, oh, like what? They will talk full of jargon. And then also they want to show that they have read so many books, etc. So they will flaunt their scholarship, show off. So this person said, oh, have you read Tarka? Have you read Nyaya? Then that poor boatman said, no, I have not. Your life is fully waste, completely waste. Then have you read Vedanta? No, no, sir, I have not read. Then total waste. So like that, he was saying, suddenly there is a storm which comes, and then this boatman asks, now it is his turn to give. Then he says, do you know swimming? So have you learned swimming? Do you know swimming? So then the Pandit says, no, I don't know swimming. No, I don't. Then your life is gone. Totally you're gone, now go. So mostly we see intellect as we have understood it is useless, because most people, they have a lot of understanding about things they are not going to use at all, but they don't have understanding of things they are using daily. Like that, many people are there. So why? Because yatatmya jnanam does not depend on the intellect of a person. The real nature of things do not depend on the intellect of people. Kim tarhi, then what does it have? Then what is the thing on which it depends? That is the idea. Kim tarhi means then what? Then what? Then what means then on what does it depend? The real nature of things, or the knowledge of the real nature of things, depends on what? Vastu tantrameva tat. It is vastu tantrameva tat, means it is dependent on that particular entity itself. So the stone is coming at you means it depends on the stone, and also going by Newton's all laws of motion, by what force it was thrown at you and all that things. All those things you calculate, but you will not have no time to calculate. So you will have no time to calculate. So you have to just move away from that stone. That's all. Finished. So it depends on the stone. If you see a basketball in front of you, it depends on the basketball. Basketball, when it was produced, how it was produced, and afterwards whatever wear and tear has happened, that is what is present in your front. That is what it is there. You cannot change it. Sometimes this happens too much with cooking and eating. Sometimes somebody has cooked something, intended something, came out something else. Okay, happens commonly. People, particularly who are novice with cooking. People who are experts, with them also sometimes it happens, but then people don't question experts, you see. So if an expert says, this is this, they will say, okay, if you say so, we will accept. So it can happen with an expert also. But when sometimes somebody makes sambar, and then they are requested to put a label also there, sambar. Otherwise, people will not identify what is this sambar. So you put one label also, though this is sambar. Somebody says paratha, oh, put a label, paratha. Like if you go to big restaurants, etc., buffet, there will be label. And most people eat the thing because of the label, because otherwise they have no clue that it is what is there. They have never had it in their life. They're like, oh, sushi, oh, very good, like that. They have never had sushi in their life. So because the label says sushi, it is sushi, like that. They may as well keep some gobi ka fool there. They will be like, sushi, I have eaten, very nice. So this vastu tantram, this cooking thing happens. You call something by something else, and the person who is eating also, to please you, calls that by that name. Though the sambar is more like rasam, that person prefers to call it sambar because of, does not want unnecessary conflict in the name of sambar. So that is not vastu tantram. It is not vastu tantram. There it is dependent on the purusha only, dependent on who makes the sambar. If it were a restaurant and you have paid for it, then definitely you will call out the person and say, hey, is this sambar? Does it look like sambar to you? But because you are in a different situation, you just accept. So that is also purusha tantra. Mind you, that is also purusha tantra. It depends on the person who is making the sambar. But generally, in normal cases, vastu tantrameva, it is all dependent on the object. So how the object is, you have to acknowledge that. That is what is the true nature, yatatmya jnanam. So even in the case of sambar, the person knows that it is not sambar. Might not tell it outside, but knows. The jnanam, knowledge is all right. Knowledge is correct. So similarly, nahi sthanav ekasmin sthanurva purushah anyova iti tattva jnanam bhavati. See, nahi sthanav, in the case of a pillar. So in the case with regard to a particular ekasmin sthanav, Ekasmin sthanu means pillar or a post, you can say, but pillar is a better expression. So there, in that case, you don't have tattva jnanam, valid knowledge or valid cognition. Valid knowledge. What valid knowledge? If you were to say sthanuhu va, it is either pillar, purushaha va, either it is a person, anyaha va, or something else. Now you can tell this if you are driving in a car and if the pillar is by the roadside, it is okay. Suppose the pillar is in the middle of the road, then if you are having this confusion alternative, it might be a person, it might be a pillar, or it might be something, you will end up either killing a person or getting crashed, car crash. So you cannot have that kind of a tattva jnanam. That is not a valid knowledge. You should have proper knowledge, whether it is a pillar or a person or something else, because otherwise there will be accident. So similarly, so that is Vastu Tantra. It is dependent on that Vastu. What is that Vastu? You have to understand it properly. Athatmya jnanam. Proper knowledge of that Vastu is necessary. You cannot go by Vikalpa, because it is not that it depends on your knowledge. It does not depend on your knowledge. It is already there. It is like very old joke, no, but this context is very clear. Very old joke. It is old like the thing which is mentioned there, like it is old like Jurassic Park. So this Jurassic Park, two people went, two friends went to watch this Jurassic Park. When they went to watch the Jurassic Park, what happened? All these creatures, they came. And in many scenes in Jurassic Park, there are many versions, but the first version, they will come towards you like that. The dinosaurs will come towards you like that. So one friend, he got up and he started running out of the cinema theater. The other friend is saying, hey, why are you running? It is only a movie. He say, hey, you know, I know it's a movie. The dinosaur does not know. So it's like a dinosaur age old joke, but it is contextual here. Vastu Tantram. Dinosaur does not know. Similarly, that Sthanu, but he forgot that this is not dinosaur, actually, it is a movie. So that is also Vastu Tantram wrong. It is not Yathatmya Jnana. It is not proper knowledge there. So it is only a depiction. It is not true dinosaur. He did not understand. Similarly, when you are seeing a post from afar, you might have the wrong idea that it might be a post, it might be a person, or it might be something else. That's all right. But that will not help you. You need to have proper knowledge. Whereas before a thing has been produced, before an action has been done, then you may have alternatives. Like for food also, you may think you may either cook or you may not cook, you may order or you may go to a restaurant, or you may cook also many things you may cook. So all these alternatives are there because it has not been produced. That production of a particular thing depends on you, Purusha Tantra. That's why these alternatives are all okay. But when an entity has been already produced, you have no alternatives about that. You need to understand. Some in the wild, in the forest, see, if somebody has lived in the forest, they understand. So wild animals are there in the forest. So they, whenever they see something which is strange to them, mostly it is something which human beings have. So human beings have so many things. Sometimes they come across, these wild animals come across those things and it is strange. They don't understand what it is. They also don't understand what human beings are, but somehow they have got some idea. But so many objects we use, they don't understand. So they have this doubt whether this will kill me, whether it's a predator, whether I have to be afraid. So they, from afar, they will see that. So when somebody goes into the jungle and they are afraid of leopards and tigers, actually it's the other way around. Leopards and tigers are concerned about us. They are looking from afar and they are just gauging what this fellow will do. Whether this fellow, because it's very difficult to understand men. No? Leopards will attack, that everybody knows, but men or human beings, we don't know. So that they have to be clear. Vastu Yathatmya Jnanam has to be there. Because there one cannot have Tattva Jnanam na bhavati. In this manner, in an uncertain manner, where there is a uncertainty, there one cannot have Tattva Jnanam. This is very important. So that is why the litmus test or the acid test, that benchmarking of Tattva Jnanam, is that you have no confusion. If you have the slightest suspicion, means you have not got Tattva Jnana, means you have not got knowledge about the true reality. Even if a small suspicion is there, because that will not do. There has to be a clear, convinced knowledge, knowledge which has got no suspicion. That knowledge should be there. So, tatra purushaha anyova iti mithya jnanam. So it is very important. As long as you have a knowledge which is changing, it is false knowledge. If your knowledge has got alternatives, that means it is false knowledge. So whenever you ask a person, sir, what do you think? You ask a person, madam, what do you think is your true nature? So that person, she or he, will think and then say, maybe I think it is Atman, or I think it is something else. So there is confusion. That means they don't have proper knowledge. But if you had to ask, this is your bank statement, what do you think? How much money do you have in your bank account? They'll be on the paisa, they will tell you correctly. They can read, they can read numbers. They have no problem reading. So they will tell you exactly this money. And they will ask you, oh, a bank manager, what is this charge I am seeing? You have cut some monthly charge, something like that. Charge you have cut, that you should deduct, you should not deduct like that. That will come because there is no uncertainty in money matters. They're very clear money matters. And so that is why that which changes, about that we are clear, but there is no certainty about that which does not change. So we have mithya jnanam. That's why we have dukkha. That's why we have suffering. Because there is this alternative knowledge, the possibility of alternative regarding that which has no alternative. See how ironical it is. We have the possibility of alternatives. We think that there is alternatives for that which has no alternative. And that is why it is mithya jnanam. It's a false knowledge. And so we suffer. Sthanureva iti tattva jnanam. If you have this knowledge that yes, it is pillar alone, it is nothing else but pillar, then it is tattva jnanam. It is the knowledge of the truth. Vastu tantratvat. Tantratvat, because of it being dependent on vastu, because of it being dependent on the entity, because it is dependent on the entity, that is why it is correct knowledge. If there is no, you can see, you go and check, and then you find that yes, it is pillar. So it is a correct knowledge. Evam, in this manner, bhuta vastu vishayanam pramanyam vastu tantram. Regarding bhuta vastu vishayanam, with regard to bhuta vastu means not ghost-like object. Bhuta vastu means an object which is already present. Bhuta means bhoot, ghost. So not that bhuta means that which is already present. So about an existing entity, regarding an existing entity, pramanyam, the evidence or the validity is dependent on vastu tantram. It is dependent on the entity itself. Tatraivam sati, that being so, brahma jnanam api vastu tantram eva bhuta vastu vishayatvat. Now this is the remarkable statement Shankaracharya makes. He says, that being so, brahma jnanam api, the knowledge of Brahman also, vastu tantram eva, indeed it is dependent on the entity. Why? Because when you get Brahman knowledge, when you get the knowledge of Brahman, you don't produce Brahman. It was already there. Neither do you produce the knowledge of Brahman. It was already there, but you did not have it because of ignorance, because so many comparisons are there. Just like the sun is covered by dark clouds, so you cannot have the brightness of sun. Suddenly in the middle of the day, you see it becomes so dark. What has happened? Clouds have covered and there will be huge downpour, etc. It happens. So then where did the sun go? Sun has not gone anywhere. SUN, sun has not gone anywhere, and it is almost, it's there where it was, but it actually does not go anywhere at all. It is there all the time, same place. Only we are only moving. So that sun has been now covered by clouds. Similarly, Brahma Jnanam, knowledge of Brahman, is not going anywhere. It is not produced. It was never produced. It's never destroyed. It is being unveiled. It has been unveiled. It was veiled by ignorance. It was covered by ignorance. Now it is unveiled. So it is a Bhuta Vastu. It is an entity which is already existing. And so Vishayatvat, because it relates to a Bhuta Vastu, means it relates to an entity which is already existing. Therefore, Brahma Jnanam api Vastu Tantram eva. Even the knowledge of Brahman also is Vastu Tantram eva. It is dependent on the entity only. So the knowledge of Brahman is dependent on what? Brahman. Knowledge of Brahman is dependent on Brahman. It is not dependent on anything else. So very simple. And Brahman, is it there? What happens to Brahman? Does it change? No, it does not. Is it there? Yes. Will it be there in the future? Yes. Was it there in the past? Yes. It never changes. Yes. So the sure knowledge one can get is Brahman. The surest knowledge one can ever get is the knowledge of Brahman. It is not so in the case of physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, etc. Because if you study now, after say 50 years, God also does not know what will happen to chemistry or physics. Everything will change. There will be only deep learning. They will say this is everything. You go and learn deep learning, then you will have. Deep learning means not learning deeply. That's a particular IT technology called deep learning. So one has to learn that, and then everything will change. Then there is nothing, as world as we know, everything will go away, and then only deep learning will remain. So whatever I studied is all useless, yes. Because till now we have not been able to conclude how many planets we have. Suddenly the course changes, planet number changes. Then somebody is saying this is not a planet. Then it's all confusion. So now parents, if they have to teach solar system to their children, they have to first read the book, because they're all confused. Which is a planet, which is not a planet, whether Pluto is planet or not. Come to a conclusion. So science keeps on changing. Okay, science keeps on changing. So you cannot say that it will constantly remain. So the knowledge which we are empirically gaining is a constantly changing knowledge. Because it is constantly changing knowledge, it is not something which can be certain. We can be certain about. So that is why it does not give us ultimate fulfillment. It does not give us ultimate fulfillment because it is not knowledge which one can be completely certain about. It's an uncertain knowledge. So that's why it does not give fulfillment. But the knowledge about our true reality, that is Brahman or Atman, it will give us fulfillment because it is the only certain knowledge in the entire human condition. That's the only certain knowledge. So it will give us fulfillment. Now here we have a person, that is Mimamsaka, who has now raised an objection. The Mimamsaka says, no. What you are telling is not acceptable, because you see, all this Brahma Jignasa, this inquiry into the meaning of Vedantic sentences, Upanishadic sentences, it's all useless. It's all useless. It is all purposeless. And so how can you say all this Bhuta Vastu Vishaye, all that in the case of the things which exist, already existing entity, it is only Vastu Tantram, all that you are saying, that is not acceptable. Nanu means but. Bhuta Vastu Vishayatve Brahmanaha Pramana Antara Vishayatvam iti Vedanta Vakya Vicharana Anarthikai Prapta. So after so much discussion, Shankaracharya ji, what you have proven now? You have just said that Brahman is Bhuta Vastu Vishaya. It is something which is already existing. Okay. So Bhuta Vastu Vishayatve, because Brahman has as its object something which is already existing. Brahmanah of Brahman, pramanantara vishayatvam. So then it is like something you see, you saw basketball, you use pratyaksha pramana, direct perception. You saw it. Similarly, because it was already existing. So Brahman also is already existing. If it is already existing, then pramana antara vishaya. It is only the object or the subject of some other means of knowledge. We have 6 means of knowledge. Among these 6 means of knowledge, one is Shabda Pramana, that is Vedic authority or verbal authority, verbal testimony. So here we take it as scriptural authority. Very good. Shruti Pramana, or the authority of the Vedas. But then if you are saying that Brahman is already existing, then it can be known. An already existing thing can be known. And also in your examples, what are you saying? Sthanurva, Purushova, Anyova, iti. So you are giving the example of direct perception, right? Because you see the pillar, you see the person, or you see it something else other than pillar or person. So it is a direct perception. So if Brahman is also already existing, it can be known through any of these 6 means of knowledge, pramana. So what is the use? Vedanta Vakya Vicharana Anarthika eva prapta. Prapta means it would then follow. That means it would mean that Vedanta Vakya Vicharana, the analysis of Upanishadic statements or the inquiry into Upanishadic statements are anarthika, useless, purposeless, because Brahman is already there. If Brahman is already there, then what is the point in discussing so much about Upanishadic statements? Is there, just see, that's all. Why are you going to discuss so much? Some people, they sit at the dining table and start discussing about the origin of a particular dish. Wrong idea. First, just eat it and enjoy it. So don't discuss. They want to just again flaunt their knowledge. Don't do that. Just eat and keep quiet. So like that, if Brahman is already existing, just experience. Just see that. Because you said Vastu Tantram. If it is Vastu Tantram, means it is depending on the entity. It is not depending on the analysis of Upanishadic statements. It is not depending on the analysis of Vedic statements. It is dependent on the entity. So entity is Brahman and it is already existing. Just experience it and that's all, go away. Why are you going to analyze all these statements? What is the point? So it is anarthika eva. It is purposeless. After attending so many classes, this is not what we wanted to listen, Swamiji. What is this? And it is so nice logic. What is this? So for that, Shankaracharya says, no, it is not true. Why? Indriya avishayatvena sambandha agrahanat. So, because Brahman is Indriya avishaya, because of its not being the object of the senses. Brahman is not an object of the senses. Because of its not being the object of the senses, sambandha agrahanat, the relation between the senses and sense objects. That means the relation is not established with Brahman, agrahanat, it is not understood. So because it is not a sense object, it is not an object of senses, indriya avishayatvena, because of it not being an object of senses, it is not possible to understand the relationship between Brahman and oneself. That is the idea. So if basketball, it is an object of the senses. I see through my eyes. The pillar, object of senses. I see through the eyes that there is a pillar. So I can see that there is a pillar in front of me. Brahman, I cannot see or I cannot perceive through any of the 5 senses. I cannot also perceive Brahman through my mind, 6th sense. So it is not an object of the senses. So how do I establish relationship between me and Brahman? How do I know that my true nature is Brahman? What is the connection? in the beginning of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the Upanishad itself talks about it. And Shankaracharya goes at length in the commentary of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad to say that why it is important to study the scriptures, because it is only the scriptures which say, that is, it's only the Vedas which say that you see the person whom you are is the same person who were there in the previous birth and who was there in the, who is going to be there in the future birth. So only the body is changing. The Atman is not changing. The same Atman takes different lifetimes. How does one know that? Through scriptures. There is no other way to know it. So here, that is why we have to study Upanishads. Why? Because na indriya avishayattvena sambandha grahanat. Because of it not being the object of senses, it is not possible to establish the relationship with Brahman. It's not possible. Swabhavatah vishaya vishayani indriyani na brahma vishayani. So by their nature, swabhavatah, by their nature, vishaya vishayani indriyani. Indriyani, the sense organs, are having their object as vishaya. That is sense objects, external objects. By their nature, external objects are the objects of sense organs. Na Brahma Vishayani. But they are not objects. Never they have Brahman as their object. Never Brahman is an object. If Brahman was an object, there will be no confusion. But actually there will be confusion. But people will say, oh, Brahman, I just now I saw Brahman. I have just kept Brahman in my house and I have come. So now also I am seeing Brahman like that. So it's not an object of, so then there will be Dvaita Hani. In Advaitic terminology, there will be this problem of Dvaita, because Brahman you will see as separate from you. Then it will become dualistic. So it will be problematic. So Brahman is not like that. Brahman cannot be comprehended or seen by the, perceived by the senses. By their very nature, sense organs are only always seeing external objects. And very beautifully explained in Kathopanishad. I like that mantra so much. Paranchi kani vitrinat swayambhu. Tasmat parang pashyati na antaratman. So, Paranchi kani vitrinat swayambhu. All these sense organs, they have been vyatrinat. Swayambhu means God. God has vyatrinat, spoiled them. Spoiled them. He has created a defect. Tasmat parang pashyati na antaratman. Therefore, they see, all the sense organs see only outside. Parang pashyati, external objects. Na antaratman, not the indwelling self. So there is a manufacturing defect by God. Manufacturing defect. Not once, not twice. With all the jivas that God is doing this. Why? God only knows why God is doing this. But God is doing this manufacturing defect with all the jivas and creating jivas in such a manner that they can only paranchi khani. Tasmat parang pashyanti. They only see outside, not inside. And so, kaschid dhiraha pratyagatmanam aikshat. So some people in the inquiry, or in order to see the indwelling self, pratyagatmanam aikshat, avritta chakshuhu amritatvam ichan. So they, what do? They avritta chakshuhu. They turn their sense organs inwards. Why? Desiring immortality. Amritatvam means desiring to know their true nature. It's a beautiful mantra in the Katha Upanishad. Wonderful mantra. So that is what our problem is. This, our problem is that our sense organs are all going outside. So they are Vishaya Vishayani Indriyani. They are only having external objects as their objects. External objects as their objects. Na Brahma Vishayani. Never do they have Brahman as their objects. So that is the problem. So that is why we need to study the Upanishads. Otherwise, who will say that this Paranchi Khani, this manufacturing defect thing, nobody has told anywhere. No? Amazon, if you buy, or Flipkart, you buy, they give some 30 days guarantee. Here, no guarantee also is given. And nobody told manufacturing defect is there. It's a big, what do you say? There's a big problem going on. There is a big, God is making some kind of agenda to create suffering. So this big suffering is going on. And that is why so many manufacturing defect, the manufacturing process has no standard at all. No Six Sigma, no nothing. No proper quality control methods are there. Always it is Paranchi Khani Vyatranat Swayambhu. So how will you know about this quality control? Only through the Upanishads. Upanishads will say, hey, there is quality problem is there. The entire manufacturing process has to be dumped now. And now you have to go inside, because it's completely from beginning it is wrong. In law, there is a interesting usage. Ab initio void. Ab initio void means it is null. It is useless from the beginning itself. The contract is void ab initio. So the contract is null from the beginning itself. So the beginning itself, it is a problem. You are running after the external objects, whereas Moko kaha dundare bande moto tere paas mein. A beautiful song. Where do you search me? I am near you. So why are you searching me outside? Moto tere paas mein. I am near you. I am always near you. That means I am that Atman Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Shri Krishna says in Gita, who dwells in the heart of all beings. So, but that is not understood by the Indriyas. That is not comprehended by the Indriyas. That's the problem. And so that is why we need an analysis or a study of the Upanishads, so that we know that there is something which is beyond this body, mind, prana, buddhi, Anandamaya Kosha. That's something beyond all these, that which does not change, that which cannot be divided, that which cannot be destroyed. There is something which is higher than this petty body mind complex. Higher than that. Something beyond the three states of Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. That I have to know. And there is no other way to know that other than the Vedas. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. So there are some raised hands are there. Ramya Krishnamurti. She has raised her hand.
My question is regarding this Vastu Tantra classification.
I think you have to come to the microphone closer. The source of sound should come to the microphone.
This is better.
Yeah, it's better.
So my question is regarding the Vastu Tantra classification that you mentioned, that Adi Shankara has given for Brahma Gnana. So my confusion is because, okay, Brahman always exists. So it exists in the person who is not interested in the knowledge of Brahman, who is on the way maybe, or who is doing his sadhana, and then one who is enlightened also. Now, Brahman, though equally present in all, the extent of Brahmagnana depends on the person and their efforts towards obtaining the knowledge, right? Why does it depends only on, it is Vastu Tantra? That I need help understanding.
No, you have understood it a bit different from what I said or what Shankaracharya says. It is not, see, the Brahman exists not in a person. That is not what is told.
Okay.
The existence of Brahman is not dependent on whether you know it or not.
Okay.
That's all.
So when we say Brahmagnana, we're not referring to the realization of the person that his oneness with
Yeah,
Brahman.
there we are referring to that. But the knowledge of Brahman is not, even if you don't have the knowledge of Brahman, the knowledge of Brahman is there. Did you get that?
Okay.
No. See, when a thing is produced, only then that knowledge of that thing can come. If there is no thing, how can the knowledge of that thing come? Suppose somebody produced something called rasam. Only then people will know, oh, rasam is there. If there was no thing called rasam, how can the knowledge of rasam come? Is this clear? Now this, can you understand?
Yes, yes.
Huh?
Yeah, I got that, Swamiji. So the
Yeah.
existence.
So similarly, the existence of Brahman is the knowledge of Brahman. Because if Brahman does not exist, how knowledge will come? So the existence of Brahman or the knowledge of Brahman does not depend on the person.
Okay.
That is the idea. So knowledge of Brahman, even in the case of you are realizing Brahman, does not depend on the person, because the person does not get the knowledge of Brahman. The person gives away ignorance, gets
Okay.
rid of ignorance. You have to understand this.
Okay. Okay, I got this.
It is not that you did not have the knowledge of Brahman and suddenly you got the knowledge of Brahman. It does not work like that. You have knowledge of Brahman all the time. It is covered by ignorance. You get rid of ignorance. Because if knowledge of Brahman were to be got, something which is born will always die. So if you get such a knowledge, then that will go away.
Okay, I got this. I got this. Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you. There was some other person who had raised their hand. I don't know who. I forgot now. Anybody raising hand?
Yes, Swamiji, this is Pinakin. Can I ask a follow-up question on the current discussion?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, what purpose does the seeker or the salt doll serve in the Brahma Jnana? Because Brahman is there, Brahman is self-aware. So this person, the body-mind complex that he refers to while he is a seeker, since he dissolves in the process of Brahma Jnana, what purpose did the doll serve at all?
The doll ceased to exist as a limited doll. That is the purpose. You become big.
Yeah, but the you which is being underlined here, which was the false identity earlier. That's
No.
gone.
That is not your true you. That is
Correct.
not your true you. Your true you
But
is the
during the
ocean.
journey, it is. During
Huh?
the journey, it is the
No.
false.
That is not
I.
the true you.
Right.
That is not the true you. That is the ocean. A person who is like an ocean thinks that I am like a salt doll. So one becomes great. One becomes bigger. One becomes greater. The finite, you are thinking that the infinite is finite. Then you realize that you are infinite. Are you not convinced?
No. See this finite being, which is my current experience, so to say, as a seeker. That and the touch point with the infinite, which is my true self, which I don't know right now. That's the point of the doll dissolving. I am not able to get that touch point between these two entities. One is going to vanish. I am going to vanish as the finite.
I mean, you will not vanish.
The concept of me being finite, being this body mind complex.
So finitude will vanish. So what is the problem there? See, you are living in a small hut. Okay, you are living in a 100 square feet area. Somebody comes and tells you, I will give you 1 lakh square feet. You live there. What is how? I don't know how it is problematic.
No, it's not. So the
so you want to live only in 100 square feet. You say, hey, Baba, nahi chahiye. I'm okay. 100 square feet. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. Maybe I'm not able to put the question across correctly.
No, I will tell you. I have understood. Of course, most people have understood. Most people would share your question also. They also have the same question. They have not verbalized that, vocalized that. I very much understood what you're saying. The point is, you are not able to connect the dots, right? To use a fashionable language. You're not able to connect the dots. Why? Because you are uncertain about that other condition. You are certain about this body-mind condition, but you are uncertain. You means not just Pinaki. Most people are uncertain. Nothing personal here. So you are uncertain about the thing called Brahman because you don't have a reference point. So that is why you say, I as I know it will go away. Why is this fear? Because of uncertainty. But you see, there is a catch here. The catch is, you also said that I am seeking the ultimate reality. If you are so certain about your present reality, why then would you seek the ultimate reality? So that means there is some kind of dissatisfaction in the present condition, in the status quo.
Absolutely, yes.
Are you getting it?
Yes.
So though it is a dissatisfaction in the status quo, but at the same time, you don't know whether you will get a better option. So you want to become better, but you are not certain about the other thing which is offered, like Brahman, Tattvamasi. So you are that. So you know what you are now. Means you think that you are this finite. At the same time, you are not happy there also. But at the same time, you are told that Tattvamasi, then you just make some calculation, mental calculation, that how many people have actually realized it? Very few. Very, very few. So then you say, is it necessary? What is it? So that is the whole thing. That's how your question started, right? What did the salt dal gain in the whole process? That's your question.
Correct.
So you are
Correct.
doing this cost benefit analysis in your mind, okay? Just like any NRI does. You are not an NRI, I think. You are not an NRI, right?
No.
So whenever an NRI goes to a shop, any shop in whichever country they are living, suddenly the big calculator starts working in their brain. So they take a pen, they see $1, they say, oh, 73 rupees. What is this? I will not buy this pen. So this calculator is fitted in their brains. Okay. So you are doing that calculation, cost benefit analysis. Now I know that I have an individual existence, body mind complex. I know that this is what I call Pinaki. Afterwards, there will be no Pinaki. Pinaki will go away. What will come, I don't know. I have no clue about that. So people say light will come. Somebody says full of bliss, whatever it is, I don't know. Something will come. But that is, then they say it is not Pinaki. All individualities will go away. That is why Swamiji makes fun of this. He says people are afraid to lose their individuality.
Correct.
And the problem is with the individuality. So there were two raindrops were falling from cloud. One raindrop said, hey, hello, how are you? The other raindrop was saying, hey, I don't know, I am going to go away. I am going to lose my individuality. So he says, why are you saying like that? We are going to become the ocean. We are not going to lose our raindrop individuality. We are going to become the ocean. You are going to become what you are. So why do you want to only be Pinaki? You can become Shivakumar, you can become so many Mangesh, so many things you can become, and yet be beyond everything. So that is the idea. So this because you have this uncertainty, because there is this unfulfilled idea about oneself. It's all an identity crisis. Because you have unfulfilled idea. It's like, again, NRI example, you see, people go abroad, they go for money, they go for so many things. After some years, particularly when they have children, they want to give Indian values to those children. And it's a huge problem because those kids are all growing up in whichever country they are, and they identify themselves more with that country. But these parents, they want to give Indian values because then they are not very sure about that culture. So this is what is happening to most people. They are not sure. So suddenly you have spent so much of time and now suddenly you realize, what am I getting out of this whole process? That was your question, right? Salt dal ko kya mila? It lost its salt dullness. So it became the ocean. That there was nothing, even that individuality went away. Now the salt dal cannot say, hey, I have realized Brahman. So the whole point is...
Sorry.
Huh?
No, the question was also from the other side that the Brahman already is and it's self-aware. What purpose does the salt doll or the doll being a seeker?
The salt doll does not know that it is the ocean.
Right.
Pinaki does not know that he is Brahman. Brahman is always existing. But
Correct.
Do you know that? You don't know that. No?
Yes, and that's where I have a slight confusion that when you say that you don't know that you is this limited self, and this limited
No,
self
no,
is
no, no.
never going to know it.
No, no, no,
It
it's not
only has to
limited
dissolve.
self. No, I will, it's a play of words what is happening right now. It's not the limited self. Have you been able to transcend that mind? That's the question.
Right.
Let us not get into what you call vak chaturya, means let us not enter into verbal this thing. My question is, have you been able to transcend your mind, means go beyond your mind? Have you been able to do that?
Pinakin can't claim that, but that
No,
has
no.
happened, and then that's why
No, no,
the
no.
last time I
Pinakin
asked the
can very
question-
much claim that. If you have transcended the mind, say when Ramana Maharshi says, I have transcended the mind, it's Ramana Maharshi who is claiming that. If it has happened, you can claim. Everyone transcends the mind, but does not transcend ignorance in deep sleep. That everyone does. But a person who has known Brahman will say, yes, I have known Brahman. So even that Sri Ramakrishna, after realizing Brahman, says, yes, I have realized Brahman. So Sri Ramakrishna in the embodied state is acknowledging the realization of Brahman. So much so with all people, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Swami Vivekananda, Ramana Maharshi, go on and on, you can go on and on. People have acknowledged that, yes, I have realized Brahman. When Swami Vivekananda comes and says, have you seen God? I have seen God only more clearly than I see you. So it's a very much acknowledgement. The body, the form in flesh and blood of Sri Ramakrishna is giving an acknowledgement that, yes, I have seen. Sri Krishna is giving that acknowledgement to Arjuna. So yes, that will happen. So that's why I said, let us not enter into word games. There's no word game here. You definitely have that knowledge. How can you say it's not there? Definitely it is there. Aparoksha anubhuti. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says, I see God more clearly because there is no possibility of any defect. Defect will come. I have to wear the spectacles because if I don't wear, vision is not clear. But the knowledge of Brahman is, I don't have to wear any spectacle for that. See, in itself, it's a spectacle. Knowledge of Brahman. Understood?
Got it.
Swamiji, I have a question.
Uh,
Now, as I can't see EYE, the I can't see I. Now, how can a Brahman can realize his own Brahman? So, if it has to something twisted, I have something twisted.
how
So,
Brahman can realize born
it's its
Brahman?
own Brahman.
Yeah, no,
So,
it can realize. Then the question, I will ask you a counter question. How Brahman has got into ignorance? You have this answer for this question, you have answer for that question. How Brahman got into ignorance? Satchit Ananda Swarupa, the Brahman of the nature of Satchit Ananda, how did it get into ignorance? How?
No, sir.
There is no answer. Nobody
sir.
has given an answer for this.
Sir.
It's not unanswerable. It's unanswerable. There's no answer. It's not answerable. So similarly, what you're asking is unanswerable. Because this state of ignorance is actually a pratiti. It is not reality. It's a false understanding. It is ajnana. It is not going to stay forever. It is like mirage. It is there. It appears to be there, but in reality, it's not there. So whatever is a mirage, you cannot explain a mirage because it is not real. So Brahman not knowing itself or Brahman knowing itself, both are unreal. Because Brahman is always self-knowing, no? It is Sat Chit Ananda. So this in-between state of not knowing is a passing state. It will go away. So let us not bother about this. So that is what that story of Sri Ramakrishna, where a person goes into sleep and then some sons die, get up from sleep. Also, there also some son die. One son dies. And then the person asks whether I should sorrow for the sons who died in the dream or for the son who died in the waking state. That is like
Okay.
that. Because eventually nobody is dying. Nobody is becoming ignorant. It is a pratiti. It is an appearance. It is not true. When you see, just like when you see mirage, when you see water on tar road, there's no water. Even when you see, there's no water. Only thing you don't realize it at that time. Only when you go near, you realize there is no water. But even when you see water, there is no water. So when you see yourself to be ignorant, when you perceive yourself to be unfulfilled, when you perceive yourself to be in sorrow, also you are not in sorrow. It's an appearance. It's not the reality.
Okay. Swamiji.
Is there any other question? Okay. Okay, then we will stop here.
Swamiji, one more follow.
Ah.
So for a Purusha Tantram to work, right, the Brahman is required,
Purusha Tantram to work.
like for any action to be done, right? Or anything to be
Brahman,
produced.
no, I did not understand. What do you mean for Purusha Tantram to work?
No, we define the term called Purusha Tantram wherein like.
Means anything which is dependent on a person.
Okay. So if I take as a Brahman as a person, because that's what is driving me, right? Like to do anything that I perform, like if I have to listen or see or smell, it's a Brahman that drives it, right?
No. Brahman does not do anything.
Okay.
It is like the snake and rope example you have to understand. Rope is there. Does rope move? It does not. But you have mistaken rope to be snake, so snake also moves. So not only you are superimposing the qualities of snake on rope, you are superimposing its tad dharmanam adhyasa. In adhyasa bhashya we read, not only the entity you are superimposing, the properties of entity also you are superimposing. So snake and its property of movement you are superimposing, but rope never moves. Similarly, Brahman does not move. Brahman has no action. It is nishkriya. So, but we impose the properties of this universe, including action on Brahman. So if you say without Brahman, can this universe be there? No, it cannot be there. Brahman is both the material and the instrumental cause of the universe. Very good. But the property of movement is not the property of Brahman. It's an adhyasa. It is a superimposition. So whatever you do, etc., is not caused by Brahman. No. It is ignorance that causes this understanding.
And for a Jada Vastu, right? Let's say stone or something, even Brahman is present there, right? But like what is the difference actually? Like
who is perceiving it as Jada Vastu? That is the point. You are perceiving it as Jada Vastu because you are in the realm of ignorance. A person who has known Brahman will not see it as Jada Vastu. Simple.
Okay.
You are seeing it as Jada because you don't know Chaitanya. See, you are seeing it as Jada because you you have not realized Brahman, so you are seeing it as Jada. See, Sri Ramakrishna, so Sarada Devi, when somebody threw a cat or even threw broom, she said, no, you have to keep it properly. Because she is seeing consciousness everywhere. For us, it's only a broom. What is there? I just threw. What is there? Big deal. Because we are not seeing consciousness. That's the difference. Somebody asked, for whom is this pratiti? For a person who has not realized Brahman, it is an appearance. Somebody asked, Swamiji, to whom is that pratiti appearance? For a person who is in Ajnana, it is a pratiti. Not for other people. Means Brahmagyani does not have this pratiti. As long as the prarabdha karma will be there, this will be there. But then also the Brahmagyani knows that it is not true. So even that appearance also loses its meaning for a Brahmagyani, for a knower of Brahman. And it's called Jivan Mukta. That person is just staying as long as the prarabdha karma will work. So Jada, we see Jada, we see ugly, we see good, we see bad, all these differences we see because of ignorance. A person who is Jnani will have no differences. That person will see a scorpion also in the same manner as he sees the peacock.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, Shubharatri, Shubharatri. Namaste.